This is Getting On with Life, Biblical Wisdom for Successful Christian Living, and this lesson is Break My Heart. There is a touching idea of having our heart broken in sensitivity to what God sees and feels. It's a truly noble and lovely idea, put in the minds and mouths of people through Hillsong's 2006 Hosanna song by Brooke Fraser. Heal my heart and make it clean. Open up my eyes to the things unseen. Show me how to love like you have loved me. Break my heart for what breaks yours. Everything I am for your kingdom's cause, as I walk from earth into eternity. I know people who went through a heartbreaking experience, such as this song talks about. They were so impacted by the suffering of others that it nearly ruined them. One friend returned from an overseas trip almost in a state of breakdown and took many weeks to get back to some normality. He was impacted by seeing deep poverty, so vastly different to the cushy living we take for granted in the West. And that's similar to what impacted Bob Pierce, the man who started World Vision and Samaritan's Purse. His preaching in China and work in Korea as a war correspondent confronted him with deep poverty and need. At the time he started World Vision, back in 1950, he wrote in his Bible, "Let my heart be broken with the things that break the heart of God." Let me suggest that it's a terrifying thing to see what God sees and be broken with the things that break God's heart. We see that in the life of the prophet Jeremiah, called by God to challenge Israel when they were rejecting God's will and soon to be taken into captivity. Several times through Jeremiah's writings, we find him expressing his personal pain at the things he could see would happen. A prophet can at times see what is not yet visible, knowing what is ahead. It tormented Jeremiah to see vision of Jerusalem destroyed and the land bare. In Jeremiah 8:18 he said, "My sorrow is beyond healing. My heart is faint within me." And in verse 21, "For the brokenness of the daughter of my people, I am crushed. I mourn. Horror has gripped me." Do you have any idea how horrible the blackness of evil is? The Bible uses a phrase, the horror of darkness, suggesting how horrible it is for us to see certain spiritual realities. Genesis 15:12 records, "When the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell on Abram, and lo, an horror of great darkness fell upon him." It's a nice idea that our heart could beat with God's heartbeat, or that we could be broken with what breaks God's heart. But to see as God sees would devastate us. Even to see your own fallen state, or the real pain of eternal punishment, or the real cost of your independence and casual attitude towards spiritual things, would overcome you. Graciously, God reveals things in measured portion to us, not in their full and horrific reality. We become convicted of our sin, but not with anything like the depth of pain we could be faced with. We are aware of eternal judgment, but it is a concept to us, not a vivid horror before our eyes. I appreciate God not destroying me with insights too great for me to handle or comprehend. Yet I also recognize the impact of such things when God gives such glimpses to his servants. I want to see what God wants me to see, and to be who he wants me to be, and to do what he wants me to do. When I get to glory with a glorified body, in and part of the spirit realm, he can reveal the depth of things too glorious for me to endure. But for now, I want to be the lamb in his flock, led by his hand to the places he has for me. Yet that does bring increasing insight and revelation of spiritual things, and it does bring deeper and deeper conviction, and it does cause things to be seen more clearly in all the goodness and ugliness. That I am able to cope with. As for break my heart, I'm happy to pray that prayer, asking God not to so devastate me with the things he sees and feels that I'm completely undone, unless, that is, God is willing to restore me and empower me to serve him. Note how the prophet Isaiah felt undone when he saw a vision of the Lord. He was a godly man, seeking to worship and serve God, yet his vision devastated him. Wonderfully, God was on hand to minister to him and call him to powerful ministry for the Lord. Isaiah 6:5 records, "Woe is me, for I am undone! For I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell among a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. And in verse 7 he adds, The angel touched my mouth with the live coal, and said, Behold, this has touched your lips. Your iniquity is taken away, and your sin purged. If God does not restore us after we see profound reality as God sees it, then we are undone, and we stay that way. My friend took months to recover from the internal devastation he felt on seeing abject poverty. So don't be too glib and hasty asking God to open your eyes to spiritual things. Yet those things are seriously real, and we do well to be aware of them. We can live a shallow and selfish life if we don't get shaken up by truths more profound than our usual ideas. Asking God to break my heart is a great way to be drawn deeper into spiritual things that are far more important and real than our everyday distractions. I wonder how much more you could pray if you were impacted by the plight of the lost. I wonder how much more you could give if you were impacted by the desperate needs of others. I wonder how much more you could care, and how far you could go, and how much you would change your life if God were to break your heart. With these reflections, I still think it's a wonderful thing to be trusted by God with insights beyond normal life. So, if you are up to it, go on and pray that prayer. Get ready to have your heart, life, and world totally impacted and transformed by what God opens you to see and feel. Humbly relying on the grace of God, wanting to be who He wants you to be, kneel before Him and invite God to impact you to your core with the prayer, Break my heart. God bless you.